I love how she coaches us.
Love it when it kicks in. All right. Welcome to another episode of Unheard Journeys. My name is Mike DePalma, alongside my co-host, Mike Bloomfield.
He almost forgot my name.
I did. I knew it was Mike something.
Mike something.
Mike B,
Mike Bloomberg.
So we got a great guest today. Guy I've been friends with for probably close to 10 years. He's got a very interesting story that's still going, but we'll bring it up to where he is right now. So Tim Guim, PCH Technologies. Why don't you introduce yourself quick and we'll get into things.
Sure. Thank you, Mike and Mike. Really excited to be part of your podcast today. I'm Tim Guim, CEO of PCH Technologies.
We'll give you some special effects too.
I love this.
I didn't know you had fans in Staten Island.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for all this. Been in business since 1997. I founded the company, and I recently exited the company through a private equity transaction with Evergreen.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get into that. So tell us your story. I know did you grow up? I know you're down in the Philly area now. I want to know little Tim Guim. I want to hear the story starting from them.
Sure. So I grew up in South Jersey, right outside Philadelphia, in Washington Township. I went to school there, graduated in 1992. I was an entrepreneur from an early age, from being a newspaper carrier, the Philadelphia Inquirer, and then I was also, cutting lawns, picking weeds, making any type of money that I could at the time. I was very fascinated with computers. My very first computer was a VIC-20. I got it when I was about 7 or 8 years old when it came out, and I was doing basic programming back in the time. I don't know if people know, like line 10, 20, 30, go to. So I was writing.
I miss those days.
You remember those days?
Yeah.
And then I was doing a little bit later doing Pascal and learned computer programming. So I always had a thing for computers and really enjoyed working with them. I would say I was never like a business person per se. Just hustled to make money, and I enjoyed doing programming on computers, playing video games at the time, going to traditional arcades similar to what you have here in your office. The
our Mortal Kombat. But back then you were probably playing like Asteroids and the all the other games.
We played
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man was out there. Donkey Kong. We had just regular Nintendo, not Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Going back to Atari 2600. I'm really dating myself how old I am.
Pong? You going all the way back to Pong or what?
We actually did have Pong. We had a black and white TV, and I was very young at that age.
Did he just say he had a black and white TV?
It was a black and white TV that had to warm up. And
you look
Pong.
young. I'll give you that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because now he just said he had a black and white TV, and I think he might have been alive when Wizard of Oz came out. But and you started the company in what, 97, you said?
97. I fished 97.
I was 14.
I've had people that work for me that weren't even born when I actually started the company. So
there's a number of people. There's one in this room that wasn't either.
Yeah. So no, it's been a long time. Actually, I officially incorporated the company in 1997, but I went to Drexel for computer science. When I was at the end of high school, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. A couple of my friends were going to Drexel for computer science, and I said, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. I like computers. It sounds like a good field to get into. So I went to Drexel. It's outside of Philadelphia, and they had a 5-year program. They have a co-op program. So you go to college for 5 years. You have a year and a half of experience. You get 3 6-month co-ops. I ended up doing my co-op at Lockheed Martin down there in one of the plants. And it was really part of how I started the business. I really started the business with 2 different customers. From my newspaper route, there was somebody that had a Yellow Page business, and he was a DJ. He knew I was a computer programmer. I was going for school for that, and he was tracking all his DJ contracts on paper, adding up everything by hand, handwriting checks with through like a double write system. So I set him up on QuickBooks, like QuickBooks 2.0 with dot matrix printers. He couldn't believe it could add up and create a profit and loss statement and everything like that. And then I programmed in Paradox a DJ system that tracked all his dates, who had deposits for. So I built that custom software for him at his house. And then he brought me into his Yellow Page business that he sold at the time as well. And I set him up with QuickBooks there as well. Then I started getting business referrals from that source. When I worked at Lockheed Martin, I worked in naval systems, and one of the people there, older gentleman named is Pravin, and they owned a furniture store in Philadelphia. And they needed help with QuickBooks as well. So I went over there at night and helped them out with QuickBooks. So while I was going to Drexel at night, I was actually starting my business. And I had some really good bosses and mentors at Lockheed Martin. They let me work a 7 to 3 shift, so I can come in at 7 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and start working, my work at the end of the day, in order to get the business started. So I really started back in officially. I was TG Computer Solutions back in 1993. I actually have the actual business cards. So if you gentlemen want to come to the grand opening or a new office, I'll show you the business card that started it all back at that time.
So this was like your freshman, sophomore year in college at the time?
Yes. Yep. That's when I started the company. It was, just a single person, was really just me charging time for hours.
Right. Like the original Michael's Computer Services when I was in high school. But now you never incorporated the landscaping business you were doing?
No, that was all cash. That was a cash business.
Okay, we're gonna have to claim that one. Did you also do snow removal?
I did snow removal too. Yes, I walked around and I see who needed to get their driveway.
How is it? I don't know if in Philly it's changed, but here in New York, nobody walks around. Like I wish they would ring my bell and hey, yeah, I'll give you a $50 shovel. They don't do it. By you,
not anymore. No, it's a different time. Like when I was growing up, we were all over the place. Our parents, like I said, we were here, we're over there. I think it was a different time. It's a lot more, a lot more, I don't know, people a lot more careful with their kids, stuff like that. Nowadays, yeah. But we used to walk around, my friends, we just knock on people's doors, see who needed to get their snow removed and figure out how much we could get, to do it.
So, and you went, when you were going to school, it was Jersey?
It was Jersey, yes.
So elementary school, and where were you? You were Connecticut, I'm assuming.
Connecticut, yeah.
In elementary school, back when I was, we used to have to go door to door and sell wallpaper. It was part of a school fundraising. We would have a book, and you would have to go and literally sell, not wallpaper, gift wrap.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
So did you have?
100% we did the gift wrap.
And did you have to do that in Jersey?
We did something different. I'll never forget it. This was a great salesman. So we had to sell these like spices and salt, right?
Okay.
So the guy comes, we're sitting in the auditorium. There's all these people in here, and I'm young at the time, and he goes, take your finger like you're Fonzie and flip up the thing and show them all the spices they have. When they see these spices, they're going to buy it from you. But I was like, this is really great. I'm going to be like Fonzie. I'm going to sell this spice. I didn't sell anything at all.
But
it was great. It was a great idea.
But the elementary school, they forced you. Like that was the fundraiser. But talking about a different time, my mom was like, I'm not coming with you. I would literally roam streets, ring bells, go into people's houses, sit at the kitchen table and open up the book.
8, 9 years old.
Yeah. Right.
And be, would you like something to eat? Oh, sure. Yeah. They're feeding you. Like, I would not, my daughter's 8. I won't let her walk out the front door.
I think about that all the time. Yeah. But it was good because you get repeat. If you got somebody when you were in the 3rd grade, they were waiting for you. Like, don't buy your wrapping paper yet. Right. It was in the fall. It was like the beginning of the school year.
Yeah. And then sometimes you got the popcorn. You had to sell the popcorn tins.
Yep.
And then when you did all this to win the slap bracelet.
Yeah, that was the thing. You get all excited. You do the thing the hand that sticks to the wall. Yeah.
You'd sell all this money. The school would
but
get
they'd call you up on the auditorium. It was a big deal. You had to go up in front of the school.
Well, we weren't selling spices, though.
That's how old he is. He's back in the spice trade.
But listen, I'll tell you how different of a time it was. This is how I got the job for the delivered to Philadelphia Inquirer. I was driving down the street with my friends. This lady rolls down her window. Would you guys one of you want to deliver newspapers for the Philadelphia Inquirer? And I raised my hand. I said, yes. You would never talk to a stranger.
Can you imagine how mad
I told my daughter, you do not talk to anybody you don't know. You could never, ever do that.
I was like this. Do you have a candy bar? Yeah. Come on in.
You got G.I. Joe figures in there? I'll take them wherever you want.
Yeah. But that's how it started. And I said yes. And I said, well, we'll talk to your parents about it. And then next thing you know, I'm delivering newspapers every morning. And it's actually interesting, a newspaper, to kind of set a foundation for a business. First thing is you actually buy the papers from them. You sell at a increased money, and you actually make a profit. So at the end of the week, you have to settle up with the paper. So if you sold 100 papers at 25 cents or 5 cents, like my time, you have to settle up your bill. And what would happen is too, you could get a complaint from a customer. and then you would get dinged. So you would get you would actually not, you would lose money when you got a complaint from a customer as well. And then you also have to collect the money from customers. So customers would pay the bill. I'm happy. I was like ringing the doorbell for people, collect the money. But but that's what you had to do. You had to collect. Some people are great. Some people are great tippers. They pay you no problem. Other people never pay you, and you got to figure out ways to get to them. It was just crazy.
One of my best friends did the paper out here for the on the vans, and I remember same thing. He had to buy the papers. It was his responsibility to put the order in of how many papers he needs for the course of the week, and there was differing. At least here, there was a Sunday could be more because some people only did Sunday subscriptions versus the full week subscription. And I used to go and help deliver and collect. It was a pain.
Yep.
But it taught them that he would wake up. He had to, on Sunday, he had to deliver that paper by a certain time. Otherwise, he would get bad tips and everything. It definitely teaches you business.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So you have clearly have that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Now you're a freshman, you start this business. Did you even know what that business was going to be? Like, did you know, or hey, I'm just going to help people with computers? Like, did you know where you wanted to go with that business, or this is something I want to do to get through college and maybe make a couple extra bucks?
It was a big, the company when I started out, when I was graduating in 97, at that time, it was a very difficult choice for me because I had a great offer to work at Lockheed Martin, great salary, great signing bonus, things like that. Or I could basically go ahead and start my own business. And the company was PC Helpers is the name that I called it. I was really out there just to help people. And one of my early customers, name was Sam Ross, and he kind of pushed me over the edge to start the business. He told me that everything that I did already, with the newspaper, and he said, this is the opportune time for you to just do this. There's a great opportunity in front of you. You'll be fine because I've always wanted to have that, the safety of getting a regular paycheck. But he really pushed me to do that. And I had no idea where PCH would be today or the things that I've accomplished over my life. It just was completely a surprise how, where I took it. I was just working, hustling, reinvesting, and I didn't think it'd be where I'd be today.
So, and you were really, if you started that back in 97, that's like that early years of the golden age of like what I consider computers, right? The Windows 95, AOL, Unlimited, that, the internet going to the masses. So you were starting before people even really knew technology was going to take that boom. When did you hire your first employee?
I hired my first employee in 1999. So I did it
pretty quick.
Yeah, a couple of years. But again, self-funded, no outside investors, no money. My parents lent me a little bit of money to get started. I was working out of my parents' basement until 2000. Then I worked out of my basement until 2005. But I kept reinvesting the profits back in the business. But I did see it was dial-up internet started. Then it went to high-speed internet. Then you see going from server to cloud, then the rise of cybersecurity, ransomware just came out of left field one day, and all these, and that's there. And now we're at the AI inflection point again.
Right, in our industry, we're always changing. When did you make that switch to like managed services?
So I think I was a fairly early adopter. Right around 2005, we started putting together packages where we would actually sell like block hours with monitoring. We went through a couple of different platforms at the time. Enable was looking to sell us like a lease for the whole product. We used Level Platforms for a period of time. We used our own little internal thing because they weren't really working. They were very, very early stage programs. And we ended up in 07 or 08, we signed up with Kaseya at the time. Max Pruger was the salesperson at the time. And the Kaseya website at the time, I remember looking at it. It was Kaseya's big marketing sales, but when they first started out, it was just a very basic website, and the product was like awesome. The RMM solution was state of the art, and it was a really great product for us. And we ended up being Kaseya partner for a number of years from there. But I'd say probably pretty early on.
Yeah, if you did that all the way back in the early mid 2000s, definitely early on.
Yeah,
because it wasn't really most. Even just now, some providers are switching, but really it was mid 2015 is when that was really the rise of the MSP, right?
Yep.
So you were definitely almost a decade ahead.
Yep. And then we had Autotask back in 2006. We got a PSA, kind of like, we we had a basic ticketing system. I don't know what we even did before that, but we got the RMM and the PSA, in that time period.
Probably did Post-it notes.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah.
Don't forget to call this guy back.
So what's interesting about being in the industry at that time is it still even wasn't defined, right? It was people, what is managed services? Vendors were telling you one thing. So you guys at that time, the MSPs that were around, really created the channel to what it is now. So did you immediately start? Because I know right now you're very involved in the community, but back in 2005, 6, 7, were you talking to other MSPs and figuring out, or were you still just?
Yeah, I would say going back to that time, Mike, I was not involved in the community at all. I was just trying to figure out the best mousetrap that I could kind of on my own, and with my team at the time. So we didn't really, I read some books about, IT and things like that, ITIL, but we were just building as we were going. I really was not involved in the community. Probably around 13, 14 is when I started really getting, 2013, 14 is when I really started getting involved in the community. But before that, I was just building the best solution I could for our clients, because I really didn't start marketing until like that 13, 14, 15 time period. I just focused on referrals, good service, and that's how I built the business and putting out the best product that I could with the best solution that I could that made sense for the time. What my customers are asking for, the business owners, I was trying to provide a solution that made sense to them financially, gave them the protection that they need. So I was just solving for the issue at the time.
So having obviously another managed service provider, and then I love having this conversation with entrepreneurs. And I'm sure you're aware, but most people don't realize that most businesses will never make $1 million. Right? I think in the United States, it's less than 1% of businesses actually will make $1 million top line revenue a year. And when you think about that, that's crazy. But do you remember how long it took you from when you started to make your first $1 million?
Yep, it's a slow growth. My first $1 million was in 2000. Actually, it's a crazy time. I went over $1 million in 2009 during the financial crisis. And what I did was, before everything hit in 2008, I was working on an acquisition of a company that was worth about $800,000. I was doing about $800,000 at the time. We ended up continuing doing that. So that acquisition pushed me over $1 million. Yeah, I think the jump points that I saw as an entrepreneur in MSP space, the $1 million is a big hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's 5 million's the hurdle. Yep. Once you get past 5, you have enough margin.
I think it's easy.
It gets easier. Yeah, it gets a lot easier. It's crazy, but trying to run, I remember we were like 3 million for a while, and getting 3 to 5 is really hard. It's really hard to get past that part of it, because there's one of the books I was reading talked about the Oregon Trail, that you have to have enough supplies in your wagon to make it all the way to 5 million.
Right.
And you get there halfway and you're like, am I going to go all the way to the 5 million, or am I going to just
stay here
and walk back and regroup and then go again? It took me a couple times to break through, but
you get to that, right. You're at that point, and that's when you start to put in efficiencies, the ability to scale, because you have to really become that mature business owner. You have to really understand, how do I run a business? How do I properly do this? How do I run profitable? And, yeah.
And that was going to be my question. So there's one thing to be entrepreneurial and be a hustler. Clearly you were a hustler since you were young. But then the other piece is, that's a different skill set than running a multi-million-dollar business. So how did you educate yourself on how to be the CEO of a company of that size? Because you didn't go to school for it. So was it through the community? Was it through reading books, or did you take classes, or did you just figure it out?
I think it's a combination. A lot of it, the School of Hard Knocks, reading books, peer groups. I've been, involved in those, trying to talk to other people that are larger. The biggest thing is, you get bigger. When you're an entrepreneur, you kind of do everything. And the biggest thing is changing to be, a leader and being a coach of a team, which is hard to do, to make that switch, and getting the right people. But you have to have the revenue, like you said, to be able to get the right people, to get the team to do those things. To get the positions.
To be able to know that, hey, you need to bring a COO in there. Really, if you don't like processing, like I know I've been doing my long-term goals and short-term goals. I don't want to do operations. I don't like that. I put it as, quote, the boring work.
Yep.
but you have to have that revenue to be able to bring in the person to do it.
Yep. And I'd say the other thing too, Mike, that was very helpful for us is the EOS system that a lot of people know about, the entrepreneur operating system, because it gives a framework for the entrepreneur to put things together, sign accountability, creating scorecards, what people are holding people accountable, put together, your 1 year, your 3 year, your 10-year target, what rocks you're going to work, lets you to actually work on the business instead of working in the business. So that's also a big thing that helped. But it's a challenge, definitely, especially I am a computer science geek, basically, and now I'm a CEO of an MSP. So, and I had a lot of skills I had to learn over the course of time, when
Accidental entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's usually the hurdle I see the most for MSP specifically, is that they're techs or they're entrepreneurs, and they're very good when they're the one doing it, right? And it's hard for a lot of people to give that up, right? And say, I have to trust this team to do what I know that I could do. And I think that usually is this when they hit that ceiling, because until you can do that, you can't scale if you're out there, laying cable and doing all that stuff. So it is that moment. Now, did that moment happen all at once for you, where you just said, hey, I got to rip the Band-Aid off and stop being boots on the ground? Or was it a gradual kind of progression?
I'd say a gradual progression over time, depending on where we were in the size of the business. I would say the time when the business was, when I was working out of my house, we had about 5 people. And I was still doing a little bit of work, a little bit here. That was kind of where, I was still involved. We moved to an office building very close to our office, about 5 minutes away in Williamstown. And when I did that, we really grew a lot because we had exposure. That's when I had to kind of step back and do less things. But still, it's always a challenge, because you only have so much money. If you're growing, you have to watch every penny and dime when you're growing. So it's definitely a challenge, letting things go and doing. It gets easier over time, but you have to learn lessons along the way, make mistakes, and then just don't do them again. I would say.
Oh, that's the goal of the lesson.
Well, that's the goal of the lesson, not to do it. But the problem is sometimes you walk back into your old habits.
Well, so then the kind of third iteration of this journey is, at some point you decided, hey, I want to move towards some sort of exit plan, right? Which is now another complete different skill set and a different language of how am I going to get the valuation of this? How am I going to make this business attractive? It's one thing to be profitable and you're doing well personally, but now I got to figure that out. So where did you educate yourself on that?
So I learned, one of our clients actually was a business broker, like an investment banker. So I always had my company in a position in general, having recurring revenue, having as best processes and procedures I had in place to have business as salesable as possible at all times. I went through the buying of the business, so I understood what was going to happen there, and there were some things that I would do differently, and what as being the buyer versus the seller. I'd say the biggest thing that I did over the past been about 5 years or so, and I wasn't sure exactly when I was going to make an exit, but I've been going to the M&A events, that Kasey had, and the data ones that they had. Get a lot of good information there, like what are actually buyers looking for in businesses to kind of model that. Being involved in peer groups as well, getting your numbers to be best in class is also important. So having a strong team that's not relied on the owner, completely, having best in class margins, the best that you can, having standard operating, procedures, not a lot of churn with your customers, is kind of like the things that you look at. Having a nice recurring revenue base there is also important, and length of time for your employees and your customers are kind of the hallmarks, I think, what people are looking for in general. And now I'd say, MSPs that are looking to potentially exit, if you have an AI as a service practice, or you have a lot of AI automation, I think as anybody that's looking to buy a business right now, that would be something to be very attractive, I think, at this point in time, right, in 2026.
So at what time? Okay, so you've kind of always had that ingrained in you that I want to make my business look attractive for a potential, buyer. But at what point did you decide, all right, I'm going to start aggressively, trying to pursue this? Or was it people knocking on your door saying, I want to buy? Like, what came first?
Yeah, I've had people knocking on my door since 2019 or 2018, and just get blasted with emails, around it. And I've, entertained conversations here and there, as time went on, because I just wanted to see what was out there. And I just had to find kind of the right time when I was ready. And when I thought it was a good time, for me personally to do it, because the biggest thing for me, looking to sell, there was, having some type of ransomware event or some type of thing that's catastrophic cyber event, because most of my wealth is tied up, in the actual business itself. And I got the business to a good point. It was a good path, and it was just the right time for me to do it. The kind of the stars aligned. I said, this is a good time to do it.
Yeah, I think you and I have known each other a long time. I think one of the things, the first time I met you was maybe 8-9 years ago. I went down to an event at Topgolf down, and I'm like looking at, usually you go in, you try to
Turnpike.
Yeah.
Cherry Hill, right?
Yeah, Cherry Hill one. Yeah.
So I walk in, they're like, I was like PCH, and they're like, oh, right this way, Mr. DePalma. I'm like, all right, like the workers. There's a sign. The room that we were in was the PCH Technology boardroom or whatever, like that.
At Topgolf.
That type of branding. And you've always done a really good job at that, because we've done several events together. You always were able to bring a crowd together, that branding. But again, talk about the marketing side of things, like when to start making those investments, and what kind of returns you saw on that.
Right. So that's the point where that was a big deal. Like 2015 is when I decided, I'm actually going to market, and I'm going to actually try to do things. And that was a big bet. It was a signature room at Topgolf, but it definitely paid off for us. We did a couple things that over marketing, but having the Topgolf, that was before COVID. We had that room there, so anybody that came through that room came to PCH Technology room, and a lot of businesses are there as well. One of our clients walked in there one time, and they thought that PCH did the IT for Topgolf. That's the branding that they thought, because you're. And I've done that before. One of the things that I look to do is, there's a PCH brand. I try to associate with brands that are, well liked and respected, because then you have some brand affiliation. Even with the Topgolf, there's a lot of stringent things with that branding. If something happened bad with PCH or something that was negative, they could have canceled our partnership at any given time, because they don't want to have anything happen to their particular thing. But I think the areas that we really got involved in was event-based marketing, like coming down, like finding prospects. The Topgolf is one thing we did. We did the Star Wars. When Rogue One came out, we rented the theater out. With Datto in the very beginning, Andrew Nardi came down for that event. Cisco Meraki also supported us for that. So that was definitely a good event. We're going to be doing another Star Wars event when the new Mandalorian movie comes out.
We actually just booked it for May. We're doing not the day of. We're doing May 29th.
So you're doing
the week after.
The week after, because it's Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah. So no, but it comes out on Memorial Day.
Oh, it comes day after. Okay. Yeah. So that's probably why they did it that way. Yeah. So we're doing it the 29th.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. So the event-based marketing was there, hiring a person that did our marketing, did our sales, hiring some third-party companies to help us with the marketing piece. But that's pushed us from 3 to 5 million. But it was a lot of investment in marketing for that to kind of recap. Joining the Chamber of Commerce. I remember joining the Gloucester County Chamber of Commerce. I just signed up for the golf tournament as a single, and I just met people and started. That's when I started networking. I originally was never a networker, and one of the people there was Hoffman's Extermination, one of just the service manager, and it took me about 3 or 4 years, and I met the CEO of Hoffman Extermination. And eventually they became a client. I got on the board of the board of directors with Gloucester County Chamber of Commerce, and just continued to network and create relationships with people, like the relationship that you and I have, the relationship that you and I have as well. It's just a matter of building relationships long term.
It is. It really, it's all about, and the relationships, like, we're competitors, but we're not. But I look up to you. I've told you before we sat here, I've told my marketing team, I said, if you want to look at an organization who I think does it right, and that's how we've been working to do it towards, go look at PCH. You're very consistent, and you want to help other MSPs. The one thing I find with a lot of MSPs that really I don't understand is they think of each other as competitors. They're afraid of one another. They're like, no, that's not how it should be. You could all work together. There's enough business out there for every single person. And by us being friendly, there's so much more business I could give you, and they don't think like that.
Yep. I had that mindset early on. but I changed it pretty quickly because I can go out and I'd rather help other people, other MSPs. We're really not competitors. There's more than enough work for everybody. And if there's a solution, because this is the biggest thing, I can go on stage and tell you this is exactly how to do an AI as a service, but you have to go back and actually do it,
Right.
and do the hard work. So I'm giving you this is the toolkit, this is the roadmap, but then you have to go
You
back.
still have to do it.
You still have to go back and do the work anyway.
Right.
So that's up to you if you're going to
Actually
to
succeed. Well, we
actually
said
succeed.
95%, right, of AI projects go nowhere.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I think that's a common theme of successful businesses, not just in the IT space, but business owners that I know, they have that type of mentality. Oh, you're an enemy because you're a competitor. You look at some of the more successful MSPs that they're extremely involved in the community. They're willing to give back, and it comes back. It really does. And, I think it's something that, again, if you're an MSP and you're growing, it might seem like, why would I do that? Why would I take time out of my day to go help other people? I'm busy now and I want to keep all my business. It tends to be another hockey stick type moment. You talk about those moments, get from 1 to 3. You see the people that get involved, and then I see them at the next year's show, and they've grown 30%, or they made an acquisition, or they did this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No, definitely, for sure. Being involved in the community has been very, very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
And being involved in peer groups, I think also is really extremely helpful, because when you're there by yourself, like when I was building early on, I probably could have been a lot more successful sooner if I would have joined a peer group, or if I would have marketed earlier. I was more focused on the technical piece early on. I'm like, I just want to put the best technical product out.
You were working in the business too.
Yeah, I was working in the business, not on the business, for a number of years. I did at DattoCon, I remember doing a slide, and you see like the line of the growth, like a straight line across horizontally. And as soon as I started marketing, it just went up straight like a hockey stick. You could see the difference immediately. How many years I made more money in the last like 10 years than in the first like 20 years of the business. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you said, the community, not just the peer groups and that, which I completely agree with you. It's finding the right peer group.
Yes.
Because I've been in peer groups before that weren't the right peer group, and kind of gave me that bad taste of peer groups. And now I found a peer group that I actually really like, and I've been a part of like 7 or 8 months. And I feel like it's been key, and like I'm definitely helping me, and I think it's going to get me over that next hurdle I need to. But it's also the community, like you are very involved, that local community, the Chamber of Commerce, the nonprofits that are around your organization, and giving back to the community that where you live, you work, where your business is running, your clients are. It's making sure you're giving back to them.
No, definitely. We do that as well.
Yeah.
I think the peer group part too, it's important to have be part of the right size. But also the people have the same mindset, that you have a similar mindset to give back and, be in the right group. So that's definitely true as well.
So we asked this question to every guest. 7-year-old Tim Guim. We're probably talking circa 1919. Right? 7-year-old Tim Guim.
TVs were just released in the home.
There's only the radios around. There's no TVs now. There's no TVs. Only the radio was coming out. Actually, the neighbor had it down the street. You had to go listen to it there. So that's how old I am.
He was around for the first MTV music video they released.
Oh, yeah.
I actually was. That's the early 80s. I remember MTV coming on for the first time. I do
And
remember that.
And you just watched it go off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was the same song, Video, right? Video killed the radio star.
Is that what they ended it with?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Full circle.
So 7 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
7-year-old, I did not really know what I was going to do when I grew up. I just was, I knew that I just wanted to go out and make a good living, and hustle. That's really, even at that age, I did, because my father lost his job due to technology, and we had some tough years definitely growing up. So one thing that also pushed me to entrepreneurship, I didn't want to be beholden to a corporation or somebody that could fire me or anything like that, or do anything. My dad worked as hard as he could, and there was nothing that he did, but it was just a function of of the actual industry. And I've always wanted to make my own luck and control my own destiny as much as I can in the business world. You can't in life; you don't know what's going to happen. But I wanted to at least try to make my own way financially, for myself and my family.
Yeah, and then you find something you enjoyed, right? And you figured out how you can marry those two things. All right, I like computers. I know I want to be an entrepreneur and control my own destiny, and you found a way to do that. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Incredible. I thank you for coming on. Everyone hearing this journey. I think Julia shed a tear over there.
She cries at every one, doesn't she? She's a real emotional roller coaster in these things.
Everyone that leaves, she goes, "Oh my God, you were so inspirational." No, but thank you for being a part of this. And and again, it shows. Of all of our journeys, though, so far, he has the most direct. He knew he wanted to make money early on. He knew he wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so he kind of worked his way. And really, so far of everyone we've done, you have that most direct journey. We've had people jumping around who worked at a Applebee's and then went to here and starts a business. So
yeah, I think one of the things is basically being persistent has been one of the reasons why I've been successful, because a lot of times in business and in life you face a lot of challenges, and you could decide either to take that one more step or you can give up. And that's one thing I just have persistent to keep on going, on going.
Never give up.
Yep.
That's it. Awesome.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. So
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We got 5 episodes in. We got about 500 more, Mike. So we'll just keep going.